Hey y'all, welcome back. This is Laura, and I have a project share tutorial and giveaway for Christmas, the end of Christmas in July 2022 for you guys, which features this gatefold folio that I created that doesn't require any type of magnetic closure or ribbon closure or seam binding closure, whatever you can think of, because this acts as the closure. Before I get into the details, let's talk about the giveaway. So the lucky winner will get this folio to keep. They will also be receiving a few items that I've also held for Christmas in July for the giveaway. We'll go through those when I announce the winner. So to win, if you could make a comment in the comment section, your favorite way to bust through your stash. This is actually a really good way because it goes through a lot of different pattern paper. So yeah, just let me know what's your favorite way to bust through your stash. Not only to enter into the giveaway, but also to give people some good ideas. Okay, so it is open to U.S. residents or anyone who has a U.S. shipping address. You must be 18 or older and a visible subscriber to my channel here on YouTube. Let me think what else. I think that might be it. It's not sponsored by YouTube or anybody. This is from me with my own mini, just to thank you, the viewers, for your support. So let's get into the tutorial, and then I will do a walkthrough at the very end. All right, to start off, we're going to need 3 pieces of 110-pound cardstock for the cover base. You'll need more of this for the signature pages. So let's cut this down to 9.5 by 8.5, and the other piece you're going to leave at 8.5 by 11.5. First one will score at 3 and 3.5, and your second one will also be at 3 and 3.5, but then also at 9.5. So it'll wrap around nicely. Okay, and we are going to fold and burnish all of the sides to go inward, basically. So those two are going to fold in the same way, and then that small flap is going to fold towards those because that's going to fold over to make a little pocket. So same thing there, fold those two score lines over inward, and it's pretty thick, so you want to make sure you've got a good turn there. Okay, so next thing we want to do is add some glue to those 2 short ends to make a small pocket flap. And just hold that down. And we want to make our finger notch for the outer cover before we lay it down. I'm using my punch board here, and I'm just making sure I line it up properly, or evenly, I should say. That way, when I go to mat my stuff, I know where to line up the other pieces that are going to be matted. So let's make this into a back pocket. We're going to put glue along the 2 long sides there, and then along the bottom. That's going to be the outside back pocket, or outside part of the cover. And I like to use my scoreboard to line stuff up evenly at the top, just so that it makes my life a lot easier. So when I'm doing that, you never want to put your score lines over each other. You want them to be right next to each other. That way I showed you how it would make a nice fold over. Okay, so that scrap that we kept, we're going to cut that in half, and I should have put my little tool back in there, and I didn't. And then we're going to score each one at 1/2 inch and fold and burnish those because those are going to be our hinges. Now they definitely look a little bit bigger than other hinges, but it's fine. I just felt it would make it a little sturdier. All right, so we want to miter our corners there, so once we attach our signature pages, there's not too much, or really there's not going to be any peeking out the sides. Okay, so I added my glue, and again, I'm using my scoreboard to line things up. and I attached that hinge to, so the bigger part is going to be attached to the front cover flap. And I'm going to get that nice and burnished so it'll stay in place. And I'm just making sure it's got a nice fold. And again, I'm doing the same thing for the other hinge. I just flipped everything around so I still could use that top part of my scoreboard to line things up evenly. So yep, there it goes. That's your cover. All right, so now we're going to cut some signature pages. Take your 8.5 by 11 and cut it down to 5.5 by 8.5. And score in the middle at 4 1/4. Fold those over and burnish. And so I'm going to attach them here. You can turn them different ways. I just have them going one at the, so if you're looking at it directionally this way, this one's going to fold open up, and the other one's going to fold open to the bottom. And again, I'm just making sure I have everything lined up properly so that it's got a nice fold and open, and nothing's clashing, and so it, you know, everything doesn't look misaligned once you have it closed, because that, you know, that's not cute. And then you can see there, once my pages are aligned together, they're not hitting each other, they're just barely touching. So it's a nice gap, tiny little gap, but a gap that's there between those two. All right, get them nice and burnished and stuck. And that is your base. Okay, so the next part I want to show you is the pockets. I use gold foil for matting and for the pockets, so I didn't want there to be a bunch of glare. So what I did was I cut a square that was 3.5 by 3.5, and I lined it up there on the diagonal, and I just sliced it in half that way. And one triangle is going to be one pocket, and you're going to score each of those perpendicular lines at 1/2 inch, and then you're going to miter your corner there. You can go into the scoring line intersection and it lines up really good, and then just cut out that little excess there because you don't want that peeking through. And you're going to do that for your second one as well. And so what I'm doing here is cutting two squares that are 2 3/8 by 2 3/8. The reason I'm doing two, even though we need triangles, is because when we line them up like this to cut them the same way as we did the pockets, the pattern direction, we are going to need mirroring triangle corners like that, right? That's only if you're going to use directional pattern. If you're not, just cut one square and then cut it the same way as you did your pockets. So there, I'm just adding them to the front cover and holding them in place for just a second. And we're going to make the insert that's going to act as our closure. So that mat is going to be, let me see, 5.5 by 8, and that's also 110 pound. And then the pattern piece is going to be 5 3/8 by 7 7/8, so we can get that nice border there. I didn't double mat it just because it's going to be big enough. And then counting your embellishments, if you want to add a photo, you don't want it to be too thick in those pockets or too heavy. Okay, so before I got into the finished decorated product, I wanted to walk you through some of the paper measurements for the matting and for the pattern paper. I like an 1/8 of an inch border there. I think it looks cleaner and nicer than 1/4 of an inch. I learned that from Tiffany at Let's Get Scrappy. If you haven't seen her channel, go check it out. She makes really beautiful things. So if you're going to double mat it, These are going to be the measurements, and I only double mat the outside cover because I think it's just too much bulk if you're going to do it all throughout. Okay, so in this case, I'm using gold for the first matting. Those mats are going to be 2 7/8 by 8 3/8. So you're going to need 2 of those for the outside. Those are going to be the same measurements for the inside cover because those are just going to be single mats. Okay. And then your pattern paper mats for the outside front covers are going to be 2 3/4 by 8 1/4. Okay. Now for the back, that's also double matted because this is the outside cover. So for the, let me see here, you're going to need 1. So the bigger piece is going to be 5 7/8 by 8 3/8. And then your pattern mat on top is going to be 5 3/4 by 8 1/4. Okay. All right, so let's go on the inside. So let's see, we did that, and I'm looking at my computer, so sorry if I'm taking little pauses here. Okay, so you're going to need 8 that are the same size of the matting for your signature pages. Those are going to measure 5 3/8 wide by 4 1/8 in length. Okay. Now that's if you're going to use pattern paper for matting. You might decide to just use embellishments or however you want to do it. Totally up to you. This is just how I did it. Okay. These mats, now this is where you can get a little bit creative. You can choose whatever can fit in here, or you can choose to get them like little goodies like embellishments or ribbon or what have you, or journaling pieces. So these are just 2 pieces of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So really just a quarter size of a full sheet of 8 1/2 by 11. Okay. And then the pattern is going to be the same here. The matting is going to be 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And you'll need 4 of those if you're going to do front and backs on the 2 mats. And then here, so you're going to need 2 pieces. You're going to need 1 piece to cover your pocket, and then 1 piece to cover your inside back cover. So this one skinny piece is going to be 1 3/8 wide and 8 3/8 in length. This piece here will be 4 1/4 wide and 8 3/8 in length. So you're seeing a pattern here. The first mat for the full length pieces are always going to be 8 3/8. Okay. And the last piece I want to show you is this insert for the back. So we made that pocket, remember? This is the photo mat that I made. I used 110 again for the back matting piece. Some people use 65 if they're going to put pattern paper here and here. I think that's great. Someone told me that it makes it more sturdy once you add the glue, but also you want to, again, remind yourself that there's going to be a photo probably on here. So yeah, just keep that in mind because this isn't very, the opening here isn't very wide, so, and you don't want it to, bubble up. So this one, just remember to round your corners at least at the bottom, because with that tight fit, it's just easier to slide it in and you don't get your dog-eared corners after a while. Okay, so this 110 is, let me see here, 4 1/2 by 6 1/2, and the pattern paper was 4 3/8 by 6 3/8. You can, that's really just a guesstimate. it really depends on how far you put your glue in here on the sides and at the bottom, and if you want it to go all the way to the bottom. This was just the best fit that I could find that, you know, didn't take up too much space, didn't seem too crowded or too awkward. And this one I started embellishing before I made this video, so I just added a little eyelet there and a piece of ribbon. So those are the measurements of how this folio turned out, and I will show you the finished product shortly. Thank you. Okay, so let me know what you thought of that tutorial. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to explain. And again, any comments, likes, and or subscribes are always appreciated from you guys, even if you don't want to enter the giveaway. So let's walk through this. So I ended up actually matting the front and the back of this one, because when I did the original matting and then I put this decoration, I didn't like how that came out for a cover. So I did the same on the other side, and then I added a chipboard frame. So that's what you'll see here, but you can decorate yours however you want. And then whoever wins this, if you want to cover it with another picture, if you want to put something for journaling, totally up to you. I just didn't want to peel it off. Okay, so I added some embellishments. So we've got Santa and the snowman, Holly Jolly, and little girl elf there with, I think that's Rudolph. I think his nose is red, and a cute little sign there. Now, I'm not great with embellishing, so I did try to do as minimal as I could, but just to make it also pop a little bit. So I added some stickers there. Didn't add anything to the insides. I did add a sticker here, and this one couldn't be left plain as a photo mat. I just added a piece of ephemera there. So we've got that, and we've got that back pocket. And let me show you this insert here. This was one of my favorite little parts of it. So you can also either put a picture here, add some journaling there, or another picture. So all together, let's see. Technically, you could put a picture here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 photos, maybe more or less, depending on the size of the photos that you choose to put in there. So I think that's pretty good. And to add that many, I think would put some good weight on this. So yeah, just keep that in mind. But I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this was helpful. I'm actually looking forward to maybe using this one as one of my bigger sellers at the craft fair that I'm entering. So I hope that goes well. I hope people like them. But yeah, let me know what you think, and I appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope you have a good day or night wherever you are. Take care. Bye.